He went in early 42.
Yeah.
He had graduated from high school in 38. He was part of the Persian Gulf Command.
Yeah, that's the patch that he would wear on his, I'm trying to see where I can see this best. I'm not in anybody's way, am I? Okay.
And that's some of the places that he visited in Persia.
We used to talk about Kramer, and that was one of the things I remember. I can't remember any of the other towns, but he said that's where he used to go.
That's what he said to her. If she goes into the service, he'll never marry her.
Oh. Yeah. That's what he said.
But you weren't going to pay attention to him.
Well, I have a reputation for not paying attention to people. Doing what I want to do.
So that's the official beginning date for the WAVES.
Yeah.
After President Roosevelt signed the law into being.
And I went in, I enlisted in December 1943, right after I got out of high school. And that was a dog that we had. Oh my goodness. He was a puppy when I left him to go to Hunter College.
That's fine.
Okay.
So what did you do? You got on a bus?
I got on a bus and went over to Philadelphia and over to the recruiting station. And there's the recruiting station, 13th and Market.
So when you had to go to Hunter?
Yeah, when we had to go to Hunter, I got on the bus, took us up to Hunter College up in New York, and we learned how to march. We learned how to parade. We learned how to peel potatoes and onions and carrots and all the good things. That was a neat experience. It really got you into the swing of things, literally.
Notice the Navy band in the background playing for the WAVES to march.
Yeah.
You had to learn the organization of the training base.
Yeah. Can see what that is.
And you had to learn how to make beds.
Oh my goodness. Making beds. If you didn't have a coin bounce on the bed, tear it all apart and start over again. It had to be bounce. The coin had to bounce. That's how tight it had to be.
You did more marching.
Yes, we did more marching. Yes.
Pistol training.
Yes, we had pistol training.
And
I did pretty well at that.
you received a medal for that.
Yeah.
Played basketball.
Yeah, we played sports in there. You know, I always liked sports. Basketball, hockey. What else is there? Soccer. I liked to play that in high school.
That's your uniform.
Yeah, the uniform was made by designed by Boucher, and he was supposedly one of the best designers in the country at that time, or in the world, and that's who designed our uniform.
What happened in the mess hall that you...
Oh, when we went into the mess hall, when we first arrived first of all, they say, join the Navy and see the world. I joined the Navy and went to Trenton. Mercer Naval Airfield. But anyhow, we went in, there was just a few of us WAVES, and when we went into the mess hall for the first few times, the sailors would stop eating and look at us like we were, I don't know what they thought we looked like, but they would stop eating and watch us. So that was, I guess we were quite a novelty to them.
And were you a fast eater?
No, I masticated my food very thoroughly, so I was usually the last one eating. Yeah.
So you left Hunter.
And
ordered a troop train?
yeah, we went to Milledgeville, Georgia, where I had my training, and at that point,
Well, you're still on the train yet, dear. Don't get ahead of yourself.
Oh, okay. The train, we got on this train, and all along the way there were people selling chicken, fried chicken. Delicious. And they were, I don't know, I think we paid for it, but, you know, it was a nice touch. Anyhow, and that was Ennis Hall down in Milledgeville State Teachers College. And
You marched.
we marched, of course, yeah. But they handed us a syllabus.
That's coming up in a minute, dear. That's coming up in a minute.
Okay, I'm ahead of things.
So, there you go. There's your syllabus.
What is that?
That's your syllabus.
Okay, the syllabus. And that looks deceiving because it was about that thick. And I said, we'll never in the world learn all these things. Guess what? We did. We knew every part of the plane from tip to tip. Just don't ask me now. But we did know every part of the plane, and this is what we had to know for the rating that we had. Anybody know what these keys are on the rating? Anybody have any idea? I mean, storekeeper. That's where I worked, in the storekeeper department, supply department, and we had to supply parts when the mechanic would come in to get parts to repair the plane, and we had to make sure on his part and my part that we had the right part, or we could cause an accident. We would never want to do that.
Here's the W.A.V.E.S learning about airplane propellers.
Oh yeah.
And what else did you have to do? Fold parachutes?
Yes, we had to fold parachutes, and of course, learning how to do that properly is quite a thing. And you want to make sure that you didn't fold anything and have it out of place so that anybody would get hurt.
That's your drill down at Milledgeville. Dress right, attend hut.
Yeah, that's it.
And there's graduation.
Graduation, yeah.
Anybody pick her out?
Yeah, third from the left.
That's it.
Oh yeah, there she is. Oh wow. Somebody's got some good eyes. Better than mine.
There's graduation day there.
Yeah.
And you graduated with storekeeper.
Third class. Yeah, that's what I got when I graduated from Milledgeville. And you know what? I have to tell you something about Milledgeville, Georgia. We would walk down the street in our uniform, and people would come up to us. Why don't you come up and have dinner with us? Oh, it was so kind. People were very, very kind down there. And they would, you know, be very gracious to us and hospitable. It was very nice. Milledgeville, Georgia.
That tells what a storekeeper does.
Okay. A storekeeper does all kinds of things, but mainly we work with the planes. Okay.
There's your third class rating.
Yep, there it is right there. Storekeeper, third class.
So you went home.
Oh, I went home. I had a puppy when I left home, and just a little tiny thing, Irish setter. When I went home, that dog put his paws on my shoulder and looked at my face. That's how big he'd grown in the time that I had seen him last. Yeah, that was Rusty.
So then you got assigned to Mercer Field.
Mercer Field up in Trenton, and there weren't too many of us in the beginning. There were just a few of us W.A.V.E.S, and so we kind of opened the base, so to speak.
So it was the Naval Air Facility Naval Aircraft Delivery Unit, officially opened July 27th, 1943. She arrived there about a year later. It was 625 acres out in Ewing Township, just above Trenton.
We have a picture, a postcard picture of the opening of the facility.
Dedication ceremony.
Yeah.
And they had aircraft come in from Linden, Eastern Aircraft owned by General Motors, and they also had a plant right across the road that had been manufacturing parts for GM called the Turnstead plant. And that converted to manufacturing the General Motors version of the Grumman TBF dive bombers.
And we have some books up here, if you look at them later, talk about the planes and stuff that we did produce.
So there's one of the flights taking off, and they would fly the planes down to Mercer Field, and they would trial them there, and the Navy would accept them.
And then they were ferried to either San Diego or Norfolk, Virginia.
There's the Turnstead plant.
The what?
Turnstead plant across the road. There they are building the TBMs inside the plant. And there's one flying with only one man. And so, as she said, they either went out to Norfolk or to San Diego for shipment for carrier duty.
Yeah.
This is
There
your
was a crew at the supply department. And there was this is the time to tell about the scooter?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Okay, anybody pick her out?
I have names up on all the top of them so that I could remember who they were. I think I'm over there now.
Oh, she's third from the left again.
Yeah.
Funny how that works out. Her nickname was Jeff because her initials were JEF.
Yeah, they used to call me Jeff. And when they wrote in the newsletter for the lake, they always used to put Jeff, and of course everybody knew who Jeff was.
So here she is in the book that's up front here, test flight. And there she is sitting at her desk there on the left in the supply department. So what did you do in the supply department?
Oh, as I told you, I think we had to dispense parts, airplane parts, to the mechanics when they came in. And of course we wanted to make sure that all the parts were correct because we didn't want to have any accidents. In all the 18 months that I was up in Mercer Field, we had one accident. And Bill Scratchley, the photographer, was the only, he got a broken arm, and that's it. That's a pretty good record.
So you're sitting on a scooter, who's the sailor?
Oh, that's Pop Fernald. And he taught me what I needed to know. And when he was finished, he went to sea. He went on sea duty. And that's what we were supposed to be there, filled in for fellas when they left for sea duty. And he was from Massachusetts. Lovely fella. Lovely fella. Taught me all that I needed to know. Unloaded trucks. We had to unload trucks. And have that, do you have a picture?
Yeah, that's coming up next. What about the gasoline tanks?
And we had to do underground storage tanks. The trucks would come in and bring the gas for the airplanes, and we had to know, I had to know which tank underneath the ground was ready to receive it, or it could be a problem, overflowing.
She was really good at her job of unloading trucks. Notice the box behind her.
Oh, this side up! Must have been mine. Okay.
So what happened when you were walking in Trenton?
Oh, you know, the same thing in Trenton. We walked down the street, people would stop and stare at us as if we were, I don't know, monkeys or something. I don't know.
They'd never seen women in uniform.
No, that's it. We were, you know, it was in the beginning when women were in there.
Okay, here's Commander Guggenheim.
Oh, okay. We had two kinds of transportation there. We had like a little motorcycle, two-wheel, that we would, you know, be able to run around the base. It was quite a large area. And then we had a
three-wheeler. It's right here on the screen.
And it had a big storage box on the back. Well, I think I had the storage one with the big, the three-wheeler. And I was going down the road and somebody hollered behind me. And I turned around to look. Ran into the commander. Oh. And I thought, oh boy, here I am. I'm gonna be in jail, in the Navy jail. But anyhow, he was very gracious. He said, "Are you hurt?" I said, "No, sir." Everything worked out all right. I didn't have a deck cord or anything like that.
This is the truck that you took to Philadelphia.
Oh boy. There was some seamen, 3 seamen, young fellas, and I was the boss. I was the 3rd class, and so I was the one in charge. And we went down to the Navy Supply Department in Philadelphia in this big truck, huge truck. And I thought it looked interesting when they were driving. They had to push the pump in, you know, what is it?
The clutch.
The clutch. They had to push it in several times. I thought, that looks mighty interesting. So I said to him, let me try that. I had never driven a truck in my life. But I was always a daredevil, so anyhow, they deferred, and I did the truck. I don't know how we ever got in the distance we did, but we made it. But not because I did it, because they did it.
So what happened when you came home to Palmyra?
Well, I used to come home and put on my white dress uniform, and they asked me to go on the stage at the Broadway Theater and sell war bonds. So I used to do that, and there were a lot of people that bought war bonds at that time, and that was all helpful.
Notice how everything old is new again? Somebody tweeted. And you were part of the Glee Club?
Yep, I was in the Glee Club. Always liked music, always liked to sing, loved classical music.
That's her on the end. And you went over to Fort Dix?
Yeah, we had a trio, 3 of us girls. We used to go over and entertain Fort Dix, which wasn't too far, of course. And that was fun. And they enjoyed it, and they liked us to come. I think I was the tenor of the group. But it was really a nice entertainment for both of us.
And then you received a promotion?
Yeah, we got storekeeper 2nd class. This was after much studying, and you had to take a test. So it wasn't, they didn't just hand it to you.
And then you left Mercer, went to...
I left Mercer and went up to Brooklyn Navy Yard and the Long Island Electronics Center. And I can't really tell you what I did up there because I don't remember. That was toward the end of my time in the Navy.
And while you were up in New York, you were able to go to shows?
Oh yeah. You know what? When you were in the uniform up in New York, you could get any kind of tickets, like to the Rockettes, to the theater, plays. I remember seeing Edward Grieg's
Dark of the Moon.
Dark of the Moon. And I saw that play while I was up there. It was very nice. It was a nice touch that they allowed us to get in for nothing. And the Rockettes were wonderful too.
You lived at Fort Greene Annex?
Fort Greene Annex. And right across the street was the Flatbush Avenue subway. So all we had to do is walk out a little bit and walk across the street and get on the subway. Don't, please, when you're up in New York, never ask a policeman how to get from point A to point B. You might end up in point C. I'm sure the policemen are wonderful, wonderful people. But at that time, we got a lot of misdirections. And we wanted to go one place and we ended up in another because they told us this is how to get there. So
finally it's VJ Day?
Oh yeah, VJ Day, and so we all went down to Times Square. Let me tell you, never go to Times Square when there's a big crowd. There were so many people there you couldn't even move. Could not move. It was, you know, you were just squished. And it was just a wonderful time of celebration.
So you were up there longer, and finally the time in November came along for Dad to come home.
Yeah. he sent me word through the V-mail. They used to have V-mail, and we used to write to each other probably every day or every couple of days anyhow. And he was coming home on the Marine Wolf.
Yep.
Marine Wolf from overseas. And I got time off from my job, went down to the harbor in New York and waited for him. All day I waited and waved to everybody. No sweetie. So I decided I better go back home to Fort Greene Annex. So I went back, and 6 o'clock, he was there.
So if you remember, that's what he said. He arrived home November 28th, and they were married December 15th.
Yeah, it was amazing. Amazing.
That's you and Connie.
Oh, yeah. I used to go to the schools. Our next door neighbor was very active in the school system there, and she always wanted me to come in my uniform to celebrate Veterans Day. So I used to go, and is that my neighbor?
Yeah.
And my neighbor next door is a wonderful gal. She's a nurse at Virtua right now, and she takes care of cancer patients. Best nurse in the world. She really is.
So then a couple years ago you were given a flag?
Yes. You can see this flag up here. All these things are for you to look at, different books on planes and stuff. And this plaque was given to me at Echelon Mall, and it was all encased in the wooden frame and
It
everything.
was flown in her honor over the Capitol building.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she was escorted by a Marine Guard.
It was wonderful. Wonderful. Such an honor.
Want to talk about Naval Air Station Wildwood Museum?
Yes, I'm a member of the National Museum down in, I guess it's Wildwood.
Right, Grant.
And it's run by Dr. Salvatore. If you like airplanes, go down and take your children and grandchildren down there. It is a wonderful place. They have airplanes on the floor. They have them hanging from the ceiling. And Dr. Salvatore just put in a restaurant and I think a place where you can stay overnight. I haven't been down there since that's been, he's always asking me on the phone to come down and see it. So, but I've been a member there for probably about 10 years. And it's a marvelous place. And could we have a moment of silence as we honor the people who paid the ultimate price? Anybody else have any questions?
So beyond your husband saying if you join, he won't marry you, did you get any other people, your friends and family, deterring you from signing up?
No.
No?
No.
That's encouraging.
No, not at all.
How many proposals did you have when you were
Yeah,
serving?
that's right.
Tell
Oh,
us.
she ate so slow.
There's only one for me. Anybody else?
Hi, George. On the opposing side of that question, were you encouraged in any matter to try to get other women to you know, a
No,
list?
not really,
or-
George.
No.
Not really.
Although that being said, she was featured on several recruiting posters.
Yeah,
That's-
yeah.
So,
I don't know where they are, but I know they had me on. The fellow that was the photographer up there that got his broken arm, Bill Scratchley, I'm glad I can't even remember his name, but he took several pictures of me, and I know that there was some posters, but I have no idea where they are, you know.
The units
Thanks,
are
Cindy.
different.
back in the back here. Go ahead.
Okay.
After you were in the service and you were in Trenton working on those planes,
Yeah.
and then when the war broke out and they said there weren't enough, they didn't want to use the men to fly the planes here and there. Did you run into the women who flew the planes to
No.
San Diego
No.
or wherever they had to go?
We
still had the men.
that we didn't have any women pilots,
Okay.
but we had men that did all this piloting from our place to San Diego and Norfolk.
I think the W.A.V.E.S flew mostly Army Air Corps planes. I
You know,
don't think
W.A.V.E.S
they flew that many Navy planes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
WASP were the women
Yeah.
pilots. And they never got as much attention or
Yeah.
credit as they should have.
If you want to get a sense of why we won the war, it's painfully obvious, but her base trialed over 15,000 aircraft. And at the end of the war, the Turnstead plant across the road was turning out one dive bomber an hour.
Oh my God.
You know what I liked especially about this thing during the war? We were all working together. Military, Rosie the Riveter, everybody was working together. You don't see this today. That's what was wonderful. That's why we won. Because everybody was working together.
So you're singing with these two ladies. What type of songs did you sing?
What is that
What
now?
type of songs were you singing?
You mean for Fort Dix?
Yeah.
Probably patriotic songs.
Didn't do Andrews Sisters?
That's what I was thinking. The what?
Didn't do the Andrews Sisters?
Oh, I don't think we're that good.
I was thinking that because she said free.
But it was fun. It was fun for them and it was fun for us. And I have a record at home with us recorded, the three voices. And if I ever find it.
Oh, I know where it is.
You know where it is? Anyhow, but it was fun.
Yeah.
We just did that a few times, you know, we didn't make a habit of it. Anybody else?
Bob.
Yeah, one of your slides was this fort, I guess in Brooklyn it said. It was looked like a castle.
Yeah.
What was that?
That was the old entrance to the Brooklyn Navy Yard.
Brooklyn Navy Yard.
Yeah.
Did you spend a lot of time at the Brooklyn Navy Yard or just to visit?
You mean when we went down with the truck?
Yeah.
No, when you were stationed at Brooklyn.
What station to Brooklyn?
Brooklyn Navy Yard, but it wasn't from there, it was from Trenton I went.
No, he wants to know how long you were at Brooklyn.
Oh, let's see, probably about 6 months or less.
Okay, that must have been a pretty neat place to be housed in.
But I can't remember what I did up there. Long Island Electronic Center. I don't remember.
Well, because all the police were telling you to go the wrong way.
7 years.
Really?
Try remembering.
Yep.
You do pretty well.
Thank you, Lord.
Jane, can you tell us more about the celebration in Times Square?
Oh, I tell you what, Tom. It was a happy people and just, I don't know how to describe it. They just were packed in there. Everybody was rejoicing, you know.
How long were you there?
I can't even remember, but it seemed like I was there for an eternity because you couldn't get out. It was wonderful, really was. Really a great celebration. Anybody else?
Did I miss this? But how and who do we thank for chronicling all those photographs of your mother? Who
Well,
took all them?
I have to say, in all honesty, that while Mom was in the service, she did not have a camera. So, of all the photos that you saw in that in that program, all I can say is thank God for Google Images, because I would not have been able to put that together without that.
So awesome presentation.
Very good.
And I'm thankful for Paul, who fills in for me when I can't see it or remember it. I wanted to tell you, this is a medal that the county gave me as a serving. So, but Paul's done a great job in getting this thing together for me. Lou, yes, Al.
What were your quarters like? Were you in the barracks like the military?
Oh yeah.
So there were like how many in the room?
Maybe about 8, 10.
Cool.
And we just had to, you make do. Whatever.
Sure.
So did they come to your high school to recruit WAVES, or how did you find out about the program?
I can't remember how I found out. I guess I just heard it on the radio, because I didn't have TV then.
Probably saw
Anybody
a
else?
recruiting poster maybe on a bus or.
Oh, yeah, might have been. I can't tell you.
Did anybody else, any of your friends, sign up in your hometown?
My friend, yes, my best friend, Barb's aunt. Her and Barb, they were there in the front row.
Yes.
Her aunt and I were the best friends from first grade on. And she went in the Coast Guard.
She went in the Coast Guard.
She was a
So
spar.
you went your separate ways, but
Yeah. I don't know if she knew where I was in the Navy or not, but anyhow.
We have some darling
She's
pictures
a
too.
great gal.
Darling, yeah, she's passed on now a couple years ago, but then they reacquainted, they raised their children together, and my first cousin, so it was wonderful right there in Sentiments in New Jersey. So now I got to be acquainted with Betty, because my aunt introduced me to Betty, so we've been so glad among her many friends. My husband Jerry and I are so happy to meet.
They're from Glen Falls, New York, up in the Adirondacks.
Yeah, north of Albany.
We're happy to you make
Thank
it.
you. Oh yeah, great night for you, Betty.
Anybody else?
yes, I have another question. Was it hard to adjust when the end of the war came and you weren't in the WAVES anymore? Was it hard to adjust to not working? Were you
Yeah,
working?
you know what? I was so busy
She's not married,
as a wife.
so
And
everything
and
changed.
I think I was working for Pennsylvania Railroad at the time, which I was working before I went into before I was sworn in. And I think I was so busy, which I always am.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever had time. Where we get back? No.
Right behind you, Mom. Right behind you.
Okay.
Have you been able to enjoy reunions with the women you worked with during the war, every so many years getting together? And
I belong to the WAVES International. WAVES National?
WAVE National. I think after her service ended, I think she may have attended 1 or 2
Yeah.
reunions, but after that, everybody just.
And I
lost
really
touch
don't
with
know
one
of anybody.
She
that was in
found
the service.
you don't keep in touch with anyone.
Yeah, I'm too busy.
I did track down one of her shipmates in Florida, and she called down there and talked to her daughter. She had died like 6
Yeah.
months before.
And she looked like me. We were twins. Yeah. Joyce Harten.
Hartman.
Harten. I'm amazed I can even remember names after
You're
70
amazing.
years.
You are amazing.
But you know what? I'm just so thankful that God allowed me to have this service, because it meant so much to me. Really did.
You're here. Thank you. All right.